Hi, everyone. Today I'm talking about Logic for iPad. I don't know. I'm going to say it's a yes and a no. I'm going to explain to you why. Yes, because it's finally there that Apple is accepting or supporting the fact that you're going to have pro use of the iPad for making music, which, by the way, has been done for at least the 5, 6 years. And that is the part that I kind of find sad because it was there. And outside of those who saw it, everybody else was like, nah, just a fun thing to do, but it's not a pro use. It's just that I already have my workflow. I already have Zenbeats on my computer, on my iPad, on my iPhone. And that's what I'm looking today. It's the access to my music software anytime, anywhere I want. I'm in the car waiting for my kids at school. I can open up my iPhone and listen to a song that I'm working on and start ideas. I've got more time. I've got my iPad turned on the iPad. I actually can send my songs between my two apps and continue working on it. I can save it in the cloud and load it back into the other app. I go back to the studio here. I can, again, load it into the computer, work on it, and move from one to the other. That is what I'm looking for in a workflow for making music. So it's not new. To be honest, I bought my first iPad to make music back when I think it's 8 years or 9 years ago, when the only apps or almost were something like the iElectribe from Korg on my iPad 2, and basically there was no intercommunication between apps. So the only thing you had was separate apps that you could run one at a time. At the time, the OS was kind of a lot more closed than it is today. Audio Bus came out as a layer, if you want, of intercommunication. It was better, but it was still kind of clunky in a way because you would have to turn on your DAW, your recorder, and turn on your synth, have audio bus active, and then switch between the two and record on one and play back on the other one. So it worked, but it wasn't as elegant or integrated as what you had on a computer at the same moment in time. In the same years, you had DAWs with VST and audio unit running in their computers. So it's kind of a sad thing that it took a long time. Apple, after that, acknowledged that they needed something, so they added inter-application audio and inter-application MIDI. So then any apps that would take advantage of this OS level integration, you could open a software, open the other software, and they would talk. You'll be able to record the sound straight from another app. Still, it wasn't integrated like we're used to on a computer. On the computer, you buy a plugin and it works with every company making DAWs that is compatible with this format of plugin. You buy a VST plugin, it works with almost anything. You buy a audio unit, it works with almost anything. So in a computer, it's kind of a universal language, if you want, or almost. Whereas on the iPad, it was not. I have Audio Pro, and Audio Pro came out with a killer app, which was basically almost like a Pro Tools in a box. It was supporting Mackie controls for real-time controls with a console. It has unlimited tracks or almost unlimited tracks. So you were basically limited by the computer itself, the iPad itself limits. And there were actual plugins from actual plugin makers for computers. So you had PSP and you had Have Filters plugin. And I'm talking about like 6 years ago. So before Audio Unit came to the iPad. So it's not new when people say, oh, finally there's a DAW on the iPad. No, they were there before. It's just that people don't see them. Audio Pro, sadly, I had a love and hate relationship with that software. It was so powerful. I mixed album on this, and then later on, I lost everything. So the stability was kind of awkward. But at the same time, I understand that Apple was bringing the OS so quickly up to date with my audio unit V3, and this and this and that. So at one point the code breaks in the older app. So I'm not there to explain how Audio Pro should have done this thing, but today I wish that you had a update of Audio Pro that make it 2023, because I would probably go back to this for mixing. It was, for me, the most powerful mixing app on the iPad. Now, Apple has released iPad versions of Logic Pro and Final Cut Pro. And to be honest, I'm kind of sad for two reasons. First of all, the renting per year, I don't know. I would prefer to be able to pay for it. For me, Logic Pro is like, okay, cool, mostly because Apple is now acknowledging that the iPad is a Pro. With the M1 in it, I'm sorry, but it is a Pro. It was kind of sad not to see it before. But I'm not going to buy it. I don't see the reason why. I have Logic on my computer and I don't use it. So I'm not going to change my workflow, change DAWs just because a new one appeared. But I'm curious to see how the other makers will react. I'm curious to see how the plugin makers, how they're going to react to Apple coming in full on in the iPad music world. I think that's going to be a good, electroshock to the industry, saying this is, we're supporting this as Apple. And if Apple does this, a lot of other people will say, well, now it's going to be stable. Now it's going to be solid. Let's go also in that area. But don't be surprised if the prices go up. And they have been going up in the last 2 years, because buying a plugin for $5 is not easy to survive for a company. So I don't mean that I don't expect that the plugin should go like $100 each. I still find that you should be able to sell more plugins for a better price and be able to live with that. And as a user, have the option of having, a better price. But I mean, the stuff you get on the iPad today is amazing. The amount of synthesizers you can find, the quality of them is amazing. The drum machine, the distortion, the effects, all of that. There's so many really cool companies making really definitely powerful plugins, and some of them are making it for iPad and Mac. There's brand name like Eventide and Fab Filter and IQ Multimedia, and you have these newcomers that appeared over the years. Sometimes it's a one-man operation. Another time it's a small team like Bleass, that is a small company that came out of nowhere and about like 4 years ago. And they've been making amazing plugin, amazingly sounding plugin, and just weird combination of existing stuff into a really powerful and a bunch of really powerful plugins. And now they also are available on a Mac. So there's a real cool ecosystem of option coming in, and I'm just curious to see how the presence of Apple Pro creative apps on the iPad will actually say to everybody, hey, this is a pro solution. Go for it. Don't be scared. I'm curious to see how Zenbeats is going to evolve. I'm curious to see how Cubase is going to evolve. Are we going to see Cubase on the iPad? I'm curious to see how Ableton Live hasn't been ported on the iPad for real. Now I kind of get it. They released Push 3, which is Ableton Live in the box, but they could have Ableton Live on the iPad. Pretty sure they could, you know. So I'm just curious to see what's going to happen. And it's going to be a cool 12 to 24 months coming in, I'm guessing. So keep your eyes open. We're going to look for new stuff, and I'm sure we're going to see cool stuff coming in. So that's it for today. Stay safe, make your music. And if you want to have any more information about, the best plugins possible and all the stuff that you would like to have on the iPad, there's a bunch of things I did over the last 6 years, and there's a lot of them are on the iPad because it was kind of how I started making this YouTube video. So links below to the different listing I did about the iPad stuff. that you can find. That's it. Cheers.